Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday now. First Wednesday of 2022. Hope you guys are having a great start to the day. I am live now on YouTube and live on Facebook, I believe. Let's just confirm. Yep, we're all good. All right, guys, I'm excited for today. We're going into part 3, the final part of our 3-part series on holistically preparing this body for our 2022 fitness and health goals. We started off on part 1 with Monday's work all around the feet, ankles, and knees, getting those guys up to par for any kind of walking, hiking, running, obviously sports, anything that uses the legs. We got those guys ready with some key mobility techniques. Yesterday, we went into the all-important hips and lower back, so working around, balancing out the hips and working through the core. And today, we're going to finish off by working up around the shoulders and the neck. So very much head to toe what we're working through today, or I should say over the last 3 days, to, like I said, get this body to where it needs to be so that we can get into the fitness activities that we love to do, whether that is actually playing a sport or working out, or whether that is just like walking around with friends in the neighborhood or playing with the dogs in the yard. Like, we want to make sure that we are healthy enough to do whatever our passions. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. If you guys don't know who I am Madison Dubroff. I'm the founder of Health by Ratio. We are a holistic online fitness and health program, and we combine a team of licensed physical therapists, orthopedic movement specialists, functional health coaches, and myself, and we work with each client on getting them moving back to full range of stable motion so that they can rehabilitate, finally truly rehabilitate from recurring injuries and pains, but also most importantly, get themselves moving back to the fitness and activities that they love with being able to stay healthy doing so. And our passion is teaching others how to stay in control of their own health. So the time that they spend with us, correcting their body and getting themselves moving the right way, we want to make sure that they're able to walk away with it with the understanding of what they need to do to maintain this body with just a little bit of love each day. So that's what we're passionate about. That's obviously what, in part, we're covering on these 3 videos this week to kickstart the new year. We're covering specifically the mobility side of things. We're trying to restore range of motion and range of motion symmetry. Like, we've been talking a lot over the last couple of days about paying attention to the difference of tightnesses between one side versus the other. And if we see that one hip is tighter than the other, or we see one glute is tighter than the other, or up today, if we see one part of the shoulder or neck is tighter than the other, one side, those imbalances that we can feel often are going to be impacting how we actually move and how we function almost always on a daily basis, but certainly in the fitness activities that we love and are passionate about. And those imbalances and asymmetries are what really can cause the tweaks, the straws that break the camel's back and end up causing us to aggravate either old injuries come back, or a lot of times, like, as we get older, it seems like random things start to fall apart. But it's all interconnected to these asymmetries and how the body compensates. So this first step in restoring balance and symmetry to our ranges of motion are what we often implement with our clients, and then we need to translate that to how they move. And so that's actually what I'm going to finish with this call today, or I should say live today. So used to doing calls with people. So I finished this live video today. And by the way, if you guys are on live, feel free to give me a wave or a thumbs up in the chat. I do see a couple of messages popping up on both YouTube and Facebook right now. I'll jump to, because I want you guys to be able to see my full body. I'm a little bit further away from the camera. I can't quite see the notifications. I just see them pop up. My eyes aren't quite that good, but I will jump to and from the screens to try to answer questions and say hi to you guys and all that good stuff. Just be a little patient. It takes me a little time to get there sometimes. Anyway, so I think I'm seeing people saying hi. Anyway, So with regards to where my train of thought got lost, with regards to these live videos and working through the mobility and symmetry of the body, we want to translate this to how we actually move and kind of correcting the body back to balance. Because if we just do the mobility work, that's kind of like us just getting deep tissue massage work done, or just getting like a great chiropractic adjustment, or maybe or if all we did was one of these three videos, that would be like cherry picking and just treating one symptomatic area. Like I went to the physical therapist and we just treated my right knee because that's where my problem child is. All of those things are good, they're necessary. Like, hey, we could use, if we're out of alignment, a chiropractic adjustment can be awesome for you. If you're tight all over, yeah, a full body massage or a sports massage can be great. If you have a torn ACL or a herniated disc and you just injured it and you need that area to restore a little bit of health before you can do anything else, yeah, that's needed. So those things are important, but ultimately we got to teach this body how to move correctly again. We got to rebalance it after any compensations that occurred. Maybe if you've been dealing with single-sided tightnesses from one side to the other, like if you notice that in these first couple of parts, and if you notice that today, chances are that you're also noticing, or you probably also feel like when you walk, you don't feel right. You probably feel a little bit out of balance. If you pay attention to it, you're like, yeah, it doesn't feel like my right side and left side are doing the same thing. If that's the case, then we definitely feel it when we're hiking or we're running. Or you might feel like if you're going to a class or you're working out at the gym or whatever, if you're doing some movements, you might feel like, yeah, my squat doesn't feel right, or my lunges aren't that good, or whatever. I can't deadlift that way. Maybe you avoid those exercises altogether. Maybe there's certain things that like are kind of foundational movement patterns that we should be able to do. Maybe not with a ton of weight. Not everyone, not like our 70-year-old clients don't be they wouldn't help by ratio, don't need to be lifting what we have our 20-year-olds do. But like we should be able to sit down and stand up out of a chair, right? That like we should be able to do a body weight squat to get in and out of a chair. And if that doesn't feel right, chances are there's not only mobility work that needs to be done, but also we need to teach the glutes and core to work harmoniously and to keep us balanced, restore our walking gait back to where it should be, rebuild our running gait, all that good stuff. And these kinds of protocols, obviously like starting off with this mobility work, is in part what we have used with so many of our clients. And like on the neck and shoulder side, what we're doing today, this kind of stuff has been what's allowed our current client like Angela get back to like living a normal life. She does a ton of computer work. It was dealing with a herniated disc in the neck, I believe, might have been in compression. I believe it's herniation, and a chronic neck pain constantly, like, and had to stop exercising altogether. It really impacted her on the mental emotional side, because that was like how she got her bugs out, how she was producing her endorphins. Well, now it's been only a few months into her program, and for the last 2 months she has been in complete control of her neck. She's been like just raving about how she's back to normal life, and she can't believe how like what the quality is back, and she's back to exercising, and she's pumped at what she's going to be able to do in 2022. We just had one of the coolest messages that I've had gotten in a while from one of our graduates, Lori, who, again, she dealt with a massive neck injury, I believe, from a car accident. And she graduated with our program coming up on 8-10 months ago, kind of thing. And we checked in with her on the new year, and she just 2 days ago messaged us and was like, "Hey, I felt amazing throughout 2021. Like, she was dealing with brutal migraines. Like every couple of weeks would have like migraine for several days and knock her on her butt, or would deal with this chronic neck pain around the sewing she was doing. Had to actually stop work for a while, and she got to the health that she needed, where she wasn't dealing with as gnarly a migraine. She released all this tension that was putting her in the wrong position, that was creating a lot of these problems. And she was able to create the stability and strength around her core and her shoulder girdle and her neck to allow her to get back to work. She's like, I felt amazing. And over the last month or so around the holidays, it kind of fell off the wagon on my program. I like got a lot of family, a lot of stuff going on, and it culminated with a gnarly migraine like in the middle of the holidays. And she's like, the good news is I know exactly what I need to do to get back on track. Like, this is easy. I'm back on my program. I'm gonna feel good, and we were pumped to hear that. Obviously, don't like a setback. But hey, people fall off the wagon. Life happens, and we're maybe not giving the body as much love at certain times of the year. That's understandable, but it's great that she had the ability to get back on track. And then, yeah, like time and time again, we see this with our clients with recurring neck and shoulder pain. Like Peter dealing with it around his tennis and guitar playing and being able to get his shoulder back to where he wanted to be. So yeah, that's why I'm excited for today. So without further ado, let's jump into what we're releasing. Now I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. Typically I would have us go from like thoracic spine and then go into the chest and front of shoulder. Then we get into the neck. I'm going to go actually kind of reverse. I'm going to go chest, then we're going to go neck work, and then we're going to finish with the thoracic spine. And the reason for that is because equipment-wise today, I recommend a ball. That's probably going to be the most effective, and we're going to use the hands actually too. So ball and hands are going to be what we're working through. If you have a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball, a baseball could work. Yeah, that would be kind of my recommendations right now. Those guys will be effective. And then the ending thing that we're going to do on the thoracic spine is really effective if you have a thing called a peanut, which is, this is like 2 lacrosse balls that are molded together, or you could use 2 individual lacrosse balls or 2 individual tennis balls. You could put them in a sock if you wanted, so that way they don't move around as much. But if you only have one, you can still do this. So you're just going to do one side at a time. So I'm going to be using my peanut. I'm going to hit both left and right sides at the same time. So I'll finish maybe potentially ahead of some of you that only have one. So that'll be why I'm finishing with the thoracic spine, because I'll continue into my discussion, especially on the movement side, and how to rebalance our body throughout our daily and fitness activities and movements that we do. Stella sighting, for the record. And then so while I'm doing that, you guys can potentially move that ball from left to right if you need to. Cool. All right, so let's get rolling into the chest. I just want to get a little bit close and say, Hey Sharon, nice to see you. Oh, I think you were also saying hi on YouTube, so beautiful. And then good morning, Aaron. Good to see you guys. All right, now let's jump into this chest. So this guy is actually going to be anywhere along kind of the collarbone to the front of the shoulder. So I'll get nice and close here. We're going to be laying on our stomach. But this guy here, we're going to position it from just under this collarbone and potentially work it all the way to the front of this shoulder. And if you have shoulder pain or shoulder injuries, or that's been kind of a weak link in your chain, when you're doing this, we're going to be playing around with different positions of the arm. And most likely, when we go into internal rotation, that most likely is going to be where the tension is at its peak. Whatever position you get to where it's like, oof, yeah, that's my quote unquote real hurt so good spot. Remember, we're searching for those like 7 out of 10s on the Richter scale of pain, because we're looking for what it feels like when someone's giving us that deep tissue massage love. And so we're finding that pain, and we're going to work through it till it goes, releases and relaxes a bit. You might still feel it a bit, but it's going to go from that 7 out of 10, that 8 out of 10 to like a 5 or a 4 or a 3 out of 10. It won't be as noticeable. So that's what we're building toward in this thing. And whatever position of the arm is what is the most kind of hurt so good, that's what we're going to commit to. So without further ado, let's get rolling. We're going to lay on our stomach. And if you don't have a ball, you can do this with just sitting and having your hands work through the same thing. But assuming you have a ball, lay on the stomach. We're going to place this we're going to hold onto the ball with our offhand, and we're going to place it right underneath that collarbone, wherever you want to start. And we're going to lay down here. And for the head itself, we're going to just rest the forehead down onto the ground so that we don't have to strain the neck as we do so. And we're going to try to apply a bit of pressure into this ball. So we're trying to kind of leaning toward it as we go through this. And again, you're exploring a little bit to the middle of the chest or off to the side edge of the chest / start of the shoulder. And then we're going to work our way up. We're going to kind of hold that ball in place. Like right now I'm doing this to my right side, but I'm holding the ball with my left hand so it doesn't roll around. And I'm working my way down, and I'm going to bring my hand all the way up to the small of my back. If that's too painful for your shoulder, you can just leave it down here next to your hip. But otherwise, This, for most of us, is going to be the most intense position with this ball underneath the chest and or shoulder. Once we're here, just like we've been doing, we're going to just start off with diaphragmatic breathing, nice belly breathing. And the beauty of this is we can just focus as we inhale, pushing the stomach into the floor. And as we exhale, letting the torso fall back down. We're doing that a few times. And then we're going to start creating that cross fiber friction we've been doing. We're going to massage into this area like we've been busting out for the previous areas in parts 1 and 2. So we're going to start maybe rocking the body a little bit side to side. We can kind of shrug the shoulder up and push it down just gently. We're not trying to roll off of the ball, so to speak. We're trying to stay on that same spot and just kind of massage into the area. We can also move the head so that we're looking to the left, or we can move the head so we're looking to the right and seeing if there's any added tension when we work that direction. And then again, massage into it if you feel it. And if we really want to, we can also move into almost like kind of doing a snow angel laying on our stomach. We can go in and out of those arm swings to create some movement and mobility to it. And once you feel that area release and relax, it's time to move on to the next spot. Now, if you're still feeling that tension on that side, keep working it. Otherwise, we're going to switch to the other side. I should probably have my stopwatch out here. I think that was about a minute. That's what I've been trying to time these for. But again, if you need more time, you can work that thing for 3, 4, 5 minutes if needed. All right. Now, if appropriate, start to the other side. We're going to get that ball into position, lay down onto our stomach here. Finding that hurt so good spot. Test whatever position you need to put the shoulder in to get that good gunk feeling like it needs that love to manipulate out. And again, just like we've been talking about, pay attention if one side feels tighter than the other. For me, my right side is tighter than my left. That I'm right arm dominant. I use my right arm a bit more. Makes sense that my right shoulder is a little bit tighter. I just don't want it to be glaringly different. So right now, I feel a little bit in my left shoulder, but it's not that intense. So this is going to relax pretty quickly. I'm going to breathe in through our diaphragm now for a few breaths. Start massaging into that area. Feel free to look around with the head, playing around with neck position. Now, of course, I hope you guys are resting your head on your own wrist or your forearm. That way you're not straining your neck. I just want to make sure you guys can actually hear me here. And feel free to move the arm around if you want to work through those on the stomach snow angels. And if appropriate, we're going to move on to the next spot. So like I said, I'm going to do a little bit of a hodgepodge here. I'm now going to transition to a couple of spots around the neck, and then we're going to get behind the shoulders to finish off our 4 parts today. So this next area, we're going to be working on the upper traps. So this one's probably best to do just leaning against the wall. I'm going to do it laying on the ground, but it's going to involve me having to raise my hips up into a glute bridge so I have the right angle down into it. So, but if you're doing this at home and you can do this against a wall, you're going to take that ball, lacrosse ball or tennis ball, and we're going to place it on the back side of the shoulder blade. So if here's my shoulder blade, it's just on the upper edge of it, and then we can work right next to the neck or off to more of the side of the shoulder. Anywhere along this region is where we can explore. And we want to lean back into that wall. So we have kind of the feet out in front of us by a couple of feet and the shoulders leaning backwards into that guy. I'm going to do this laying on the ground, and you'll see how I have to get into a glute bridge to get that kind of same angle back into the ground. This is a really great way to do it. It's just a little bit more intense to be laying on the ground. And again, guys, if you have any questions, if you have any comments or saying hi, all that good stuff, I can see the notifications come up. I just can't quite read them from this distance. So I will come up and say hi. If you guys got any feedback or questions, I'll be answering them as we go. All right, so I have my ball positioned right behind the upper trap here and right above my shoulder blade. Now, I'm going to raise my hips up here, so I'm kind of leaning back into it. If you're standing, your feet are just kind of walked out in front of you and you're leaning back into this. You're going to explore a little bit to the left or the right, find your good hot spot. I got my area right now. And all we're going to do is start breathing through the belly. Good, trying to relax that nervous system a little bit, releasing that tension as we're here, just allowing the body to calm down a little. And now we're going to start moving the head from left to right, especially if you feel this, if you look to the left, that increases the soreness there. If you look to the right, that increases the soreness there. Stay in that direction, whichever side's most intense, and then start massaging into it, kind of rocking side to side into it. And you can move the arm a little bit as well while you're still looking in that direction. Now, if you're getting any nervy sensations, you're feeling like this thing is zinging a nerve, move that spot, go to somewhere else. Like if it feels sketchy, it's sketchy. We don't want to be pushing into anything that's creating nervy sensations in this guy. We want that hurt so good feeling, like someone's giving us a neck massage. We don't want this to be burning sensations that are shooting up and down. And if we've gotten this area to calm down and release, perfect. Let's transition to the next side. If you still need some love there, feel free to keep working it. And I'm going to pivot around so you guys can see me now on this right shoulder. Get that ball in place. And coming up, ooh, I hit it right on the mark. Perfect, that's my spot today. So again, breathing through the belly. Start looking around, moving that head. Pay attention to the sensation, and is it more intense when you look to one side or the other? If it is, stay in that direction and start scrubbing into this thing. Rock the body a little bit side to side and massage into this thing. If you need to, you can hold on to this ball to make sure that it's not moving around, especially if you're standing in it for this one. Also, feel free to move the arm around, test out different positions and see if that makes a difference. And if it does, hang out in that area and massage this bad boy out. And again, pay attention. Does one side feel tighter than the other? What will be interesting is if you tend to get neck soreness to one side or the other, you might find that the opposite side is the tighter side. Just because the body is sore on the right or sore on the left, or that's where you're feeling your pain, doesn't mean that's the root cause of it. It often means that there's something going on the other side of the body that's pulling on you and creating that pain to the side that's talking to you. So this is where it's really great to have a more holistic approach where you're always working the right to the left and paying attention, okay, where is my tension? Where is my soreness? Where's the hurt so good feedback that I'm getting that needs to be manipulated out? And that way, we're not just cherry picking and trying to treat the pain site, we're working on a more holistic approach with it. Okay, so now we've got 2 down, 2 to go. Next one, we're going to do with our hands. So we're going to work the sides of the neck here. I'm going to get a little bit closer to you guys here. And let's see. We're going to use our fingers here, and we're going to work along the dead sides of our neck. There's quite a few components we can work into. We can work the back side of the neck up into the base of the skull. We can work the dead sides of the neck up. We can work this front corner of the neck. We can even work kind of these little 45-degree corners that are right above the collarbone. All these guys can be great to explore. So I'm going to have you guys do a quick line up of draw a quick line up each of these lines of the neck and see where you have the most tension. And if you want, you can do this laying down on the ground so you can just laying on your back so you can fully relax your neck. That way you're not even having to strain yourself to keep up. So the first line to test is right here on the front corner that goes up toward the ear along this. So you want to kind of poke and prod that muscle, the SCM, the sternocleidomastoid. You're trying to poke and prod it to see, is there any tension that needs work there? The next one that we can work through, where I find a lot of us will get a lot of good releasing around the levators, is just into the sides of the neck. So kind of just behind that sternocleidomastoid muscle, right into the sides here, working our way up toward the ears. Does that have some good tension? The other area, like I said, is right behind the neck, along the cervical spine, all the way up into the base of that skull, right up in there. That might be where you got a lot of tension. Wherever it is, and like I said, the other one can be right into the corners of each of the base of this neck, right kind of above the collarbone in front of the upper trap. That can be another good gnarly spot to be working through. Wherever you have some good tension. If you have multiple areas, feel free to work on multiple areas here while I'm, especially as I transition to the ending positions of the call. Keep working on the neck, keep getting this thing loose. But find a hot spot, start massaging into it. Just kneading into it with your fingers, like you're kneading dough. Just digging into that area. Finding that hurt so good spot. Then, as we're doing this, we can, again, look to the left, look to the right. If you're laying on your back, you're just turning your head to the left, turn your head to the right. And continuously massaging as we do so. We want to breathe through that belly, relaxing the nervous system through the diaphragmatic breathing. We can also kind of tilt the ear to shoulder, working through it that way. And once we feel this thing, release and relax. If you want, you can work to one of the other areas that you were working on, that you explored. Maybe you got something here, maybe you have something more in front, maybe you have something right at the base of that skull, and do the same thing. You're gonna knead into it, you're gonna look around as you're breathing through your diaphragm. You can tilt the head side to side. You're just trying to get extra blood flow to these areas. When you're working into soft tissue, and you find that hurts so good, that pain that you're massaging out, that means that the tissue is sticky. That means that it's gunked up. It might be literally knotted up. It might be a rat's nest of fascia and gunk and knotted. Or it could just be a solid brick. Like it could feel like you're pressing into a wire or a piece of concrete where it should feel like it's soft and pliable. Or it just might be one section super tender, not nervy tender, but like that massage pain, that like, oh my gosh, they got that good spot on me. All that means is that in some way, shape, or form, that tissue isn't hydrated well. And so we're creating this friction and movement to create better blood flow and break apart this gunk to get better nutrients to it to rehydrate it. All right. Now, if you guys can keep working on the neck if you want to. Otherwise, last but not least, we're going to get into the thoracic spine here. And like I said, if you have one ball, you are allowed to use just one and work on one side and then switch to the other. Otherwise, if you have a peanut or if you have a couple of balls you can put into a sock, that's what we're going to hit here. And we're going to place this guy first over top of the head, right along either side of the upper back here, in between the shoulder blades. That's where we're looking to start. And then once we lay down on our back with this guy in position, and again, this can just be one ball to one side if you only have access to one ball. We're gonna hug ourselves. This is gonna splay open the shoulder blades a little bit, so we kind of open those guys up a little bit more and create that space for us to be releasing. And now we can inch our way up, so like move our head up on the ground to try to let that ball kind of travel down in between the shoulder blades a little bit more to find whatever spot hurt so good, whatever area we need to work through. Now, just like we've been doing, we're going to get into some nice diaphragmatic breathing. Breathing through the belly, relaxing that nervous system. And after we do that for a little bit, we can massage into this a little bit. We can just kind of rock the body up and down and kind of give that area a little bit of love with some massaging work. And then we can also create movement to it. And how we can hit this is by bringing both the arms straight up here. And now we're going to move one arm at a time, either overhead. Bring it back up. And then overhead. Bring it back up. Now pay attention as you did that. Were you able to get one arm lower to the ground than the other arm? Was one side stuck? Okay, cool. We found that one shoulder girdle, one shoulder blade is more restricted. So let's keep working that and let's see if over the next minute or two we can get that thing to release and open up a little bit more and allow us to get a little bit deeper into that. This is key in terms of scapular mobility, which is key in our shoulder girdle health. So we want to pay attention. Where are we restricted? Then we can also do this out to the side, and we can go to the other side. We can go down low, and do the low. We can even bring one arm into the small of our back and go into internal rotation there. Feel that. Then bring the other one to the small of our back. Go into internal rotation. Feel that. Again, if one side's restricted, keep working that that range of motion with the shoulder and keep opening it up. But once you feel that area release and relax its tension, if you have one ball, you can move to the other side, and it might be a totally different spot. Like you might have to move it a little bit higher or lower, but you can work to the other side and go through the same thing, the same breath work, the same manipulations. And there's some certain other areas that we can do to make a difference to the shoulder and to the neck. But I would say these four things that we just worked through are the most important. They're probably the lowest hanging fruits for most of us to reduce some tension. Now, I will finish off with some stretches. There's a couple that I'm going to have us do for the neck and the shoulders. I'm assuming a lot of us might still be working through some of the tensions, especially around the neck, maybe working on other spots around that thoracic spine. So I'm going to let you guys continue to work through those areas. I'm going to transition a little bit to the movement side of this discussion real quick, and then we'll finish with the stretches so you guys can keep doing your thing while you're just listening to me. So, like I said at the beginning of this call, these things are really important. What we just did over the last 3 days is we started to find tensions that are out of balance from right to left. And we worked through them to get them to release and relax. And getting that tension out of there helps us kind of restore some balance, some symmetry to the ranges of motion in our body. That's really important. It's what allows us to feel really good and reduce some overall soreness and pain. But just like a treatment that is where somebody else is manipulating us, like we're getting a chiropractor is adjusting us, or a massage therapist or physical therapist is doing deep tissue work on us, or just like if we just cherry pick some of these spots and don't work the rest of the body, that's like treating just the pain site and not actually addressing where potential root causes are coming from. If we finish those treatments and then we get right back to living the life that we were before, we're walking the same way that we walked out of the office the same way as we walked in. We're sitting in the car the same way. We're going for hikes, or we're exercising. We're going through each of our yoga poses, or we're going through our various exercises with the same form as we had before. Well, what happens? We pull ourselves back out of alignment. Certain areas retighten back up again. We retweak our injuries. And so we're back into those treatments on a regular basis. And so we often are having to constantly rely on third parties instead of being able to truly correct the way we move. So that's to me where we got to take things a step further. We got to teach this body how to take all this nice new balanced range of motion that we just cultivated, and we got to teach it how to use it correctly again. So that's where we need to rebuild how we walk. Everybody's walking. Well, most of us are walking, with the exception of a few that have had some special circumstances. But most of us are walking. So we got to rebuild how we walk. We got to balance that again. We got to rebuild how we lift things up and put them overhead, or how we put on jackets. We got to restore that range of motion. We need to be able to rebuild how we actually do a sport or an activity. If we're out and about, if we're active, if we're hiking, if we're playing sports, if we're doing various dynamic exercises and that kind of stuff, we need to be able to rebuild the stability in our body. And these things help set us up for being able to move in full ranges of stable motion, but they don't actually cultivate the stability. They don't teach us how to balance out our body through, like, for instance, activating our gluten core or stabilizing our shoulder girdles and neck properly while we're doing actual dynamic movements. So this is where, to me, functional movement correction comes into play. We need to be able to not just isolate muscle groups. A lot of times we're like, our glutes are weak, so I got to do a bunch of glute bridges. My core is weak, I got to do more planks and leg lifts. My neck is limited, so I better just do a bunch of chin tucks. Like, there's a time and a place for those, and they're not bad to do, but do chin tucks teach me how to stabilize my neck when I squat down to pick up heavy bags? No, they don't. And do glute bridges teach me how to run any better? No, they don't. They just work on isolated strength. So we need to actually translate this to the dynamic movements that our body does. So they need to be appropriate for us, not like a an 18-year-old basketball player doesn't need to be doing what a 70-year-old grandfather who's playing with his 5-year-old grandkid does. But it needs to be dynamic movements appropriate and translate to the things that we're doing, getting up and down off the ground, or running, or whatever it is, and anywhere in between. So if you guys are interested in help on that aspect of your program, like what you need to do to get your body moving balanced again so that you can work harmoniously, I'm going to include a link to our calendar where we have, you can book a call with us. Like we offer 2 free calls to everybody. The first call is us getting to know you and understanding what you've been through, what you've tried, what your goals are, all that good stuff. The second call is connecting with you over video and actually putting you through a number of movement and range of motion tests appropriate for you and to what you're looking to do, so that we can see how and why your body is doing what it's doing, and then create a game plan with you on what you can do to get it moving back to that full range of stable motion. So if you're interested in me sending that directly to you, feel free to like this video, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. I'll also be including it in the notes after the call and all that jazz. I'm going to transition right now to the stretches that I wanted to have us finish off with, and I'm going to jump over. I see a couple of questions and stuff like that coming in from the chats on Facebook and YouTube right now. So first stretch, we're going to bust out the neck stretch. So you're going to take your hands, you're going to clasp them behind your back if you can. And from here, we're going to pull the shoulders back, and we want to make sure the neck's neutral. So as we're doing this, we don't want to be in this position. We want to pull the neck back so that it's stacked over the rest of the spine. So I got big chest, I got my shoulders back, I got my hands intertwined behind the back of my butt here. And now I'm going to lean to one side. So I got my chin neutral. I'm going to lean to one side, and I'm going to start to feel a stretch come right along this upper trapeze side of the neck. If I want to increase that a little bit more, so right now I'm kind of stretching out the right side of my neck, I can pull my right arm down, like I can relax this right arm and pull it down a little bit more aggressively with my left arm. So I'm using my left hand and arm to pull this right shoulder down a little bit further, and that increases the stretch. I feel this now getting pulled down a little bit further, and it feels real good right there. I can also do some little bit of dynamic movement. I can move in and out of it. I can also get into that position and just slightly angle my chin down just a little bit, kind of like I'm trying to look down at my pocket down there. And I'm just creating some movement to that area. Obviously, once we're hitting at about 30-40 second mark, we're going to do that to the other side, and we can pull now the left shoulder down. Now I'm going to be creeping here so I can get into questions here. Aaron was saying, did yesterday's with you, tightness on other areas like hamstrings, thighs, I stretch again for bend to help the movement tightness. Movement of tightness, just info of releasing something and showing me where I need to focus next. Okay, Aaron, I think I understand your question there in terms of the stretches and releases, and the movement of tightness is just info of releasing something and showing me where I need to focus next. I'm not quite following the way you worded that question, Aaron. I apologize. In terms of the comment of like, do I have enough time to release these areas? So I did a lot in the last couple of days. I do not think that we need to hit everything that we did in the last 3 days, every 3 days, for instance. When we're working with clients, we often cut this stuff in half or less, where they can do it in about 15 to 20 minutes a day, but they chip away at it a little bit every week, as opposed to working all of this at once. I just tried to cram like a full body perspective in 3 days. Because I wanted people to be able to reset for their New Year's resolutions. But I don't think you need to really work through everything that we've done over the last 3 days every single time. You can go cut it in half and work through these things, and just chipping away at it a little bit every day will add up over time to restoring your range of motion. Oh, you were saying your tightness and pain moved yesterday. Got it. So that's really normal, especially when you're doing this for your first go around, because as you release something here, there's going to be a shift in tension to another part of your body. So it's normal that your body is going to feel different tightnesses as you're releasing, or it's normal that your body is going to have different tensions in certain areas as you are releasing the area. Don't worry about having to hit it all on the same day, though. Just everything's interconnected here. So as we're working through the whole body and we're chipping away at just one spot per day, we're working at just one spot until it fully releases and relaxes. Over the course of a few weeks, it makes a huge difference to how you're feeling. So like initially, your first go around, like it might feel really good in the moment, like you release some good tension, but something else might tighten up later on in the day. And if you want to massage it out, if you want to stretch it out, you're allowed. But otherwise, just understand, okay, my body's just adjusting right now. And in the next couple of days, I'm going to hit my hips again, or I'm going to hit my thighs again, or I'm going to get into my neck or my shoulders again. And I can chip away at this a little bit further. It's all interconnected there. Now, guys, the second stretch that I want to do, you can do this either just with a door frame, like you can just literally walk through a door frame with your elbows bent and allow yourself to kind of pull the arms back. Or if you have, like I'm going to use a resistance band here, or if you have like a towel or something like that, even a sweatshirt if you can hold on to, you can pull that just behind the back of your head and kind of stop your hands right at ear level. We're not going too low with this guy, but we're just allowing ourselves to stretch out this chest here, pulling it open. And again, neck's neutral. I'm not jutting my head forward, especially if I'm going through a door frame. I don't want to be leaning forward into this position the whole time. So we want to keep neutral with the head. If we want to create a little bit of movement, we can slide one arm up, reaching it up, if the shoulders feel comfortable for it. If not, just hang out in this position. We can slide the other side up. We can do a little bit of neck range of motion here, get a little bit of shoulder movement. We can also move in and out of this guy to get some dynamic blood flow to the area. My pleasure, Aaron. And breathing through the diaphragm as always. Nice. All right, guys, that's going to complete our 3-part series. If you missed parts 1 and 2, don't worry, the replays are up right now. Check them out. You don't have to do them all today, but I recommend do not cherry pick any one part of your body. Work on the holistic aspect of it. There are often things that are happening in your feet that are impacting your neck and everywhere in between. Exercising, something feels off between the left and the right hand side. You don't feel like you're moving the way that you should, and you have a suspicion that is some of the root causes of why your body is getting tweaked and injured on a regular basis. I want to help. We want to do it for free. We can connect with you on a couple of phone calls. We can actually do a full-blown video assessment with you, test out how you're moving, your ranges of motion, and create that free game plan for you on what you can do to get back to full range of stable motion. So if you're interested in that, feel free to like this video. Feel free to ask any comments. And if you're watching the replays and you have something that pops up, feel free to type in the chat. I would love to hear from you. We'll check the comments after the fact. And outside of that, everybody, Happy New Year. Wish you the best on your 2022 goals. Talk soon.